I'm like Jesus. I bring out the good mic stands at the end of the party. For all you religious folks out there, you'll understand that metaphor. Is that a metaphor? Comparison?
I read the Bible as literature in freshman year at Lyons Township High School. We had forms.
Going to Hell 101, is that what the course was?
I think she was a former nun. At least two of my teachers, I think, were former nuns. She had a permission slip, so for us to do the Bible as literature in freshman English, I think it was. Yeah, she sent home permission slips, and everybody who had to get it signed to be allowed to talk about and read the Bible in public school.
Oh, in case you didn't believe in the Bible or something? Or...
I don't think it was in case you didn't believe in the Bible. It was, if you didn't want to read the Bible in school, your parents could say, we're not going to fill out this permission slip. And then I don't know what people read instead.
1984, Brave New World.
This was honors English. I guess maybe Brave New World. That was, I think, just remedial English.
Dunces? Yeah. Dunce English? I was in Dunce English. Welcome to Lost and Found and Rewound, a podcast where I used to tease Rick like he was my friend's older brother, but am now full-on gaslighting him like I'm a proud boy. I'm Chris Lost.
I'm Found Jim.
And I am Cap'n Rick Rewound.
Cap'n, where did that come? I've forgotten already, Cap'n.
I'm officially in charge of a breakfast cereal ship. So I'm able to call myself Cap'n.
Now you're gaslighting me. So what have you been watching, Jim? Since our last record?
Last week.
I should preface, we've been away from each other for 8 days. We're back. We're kind of doing these episodes when we can because of logistics.
Probably something on YouTube, unfortunately.
You're not on social media, but apparently YouTube's not a problem.
The sandhill cranes flew over my house.
Nice.
They've been doing it for the past few weeks, but this past week was a good one. There were some good, clusters. I don't know what you call them.
Is that what you call them? A gaggle of cranes?
It's not a murder.
No. V's. They come in V's. Then they get all confused, and they start circling around, just squawking at each other because they're trying to stay in formation. And so they start circling and just going, waiting for the other ones to catch up, and they all circle around, and then they go off, finally get back together and go off in a big V. I was watching that.
That's amazing.
It happens, yeah. It's great. They come over every year. Well, twice a year, of course. Go one direction, one at the beginning of the year, and then the other direction at the end of the year.
How do you know? Do you hear them, and you just run out and look?
Yeah, you can hear them coming there.
And I imagine you in like a long shirt, and you have the little pointed cap, and you're holding a lamp when you run out to watch the birds fly out. That's how I imagine you. Right. Kind of like what Ebenezer Scrooge wears when he gets woken up in the middle of the night.
Right.
Well, I don't think he's doing it at night.
No. Well, yeah, I just wear that during the day anyway.
Yeah,
so.
no, I just figured, yeah. You're a man of leisure. Mm-hmm. You can wear your nightshirt whenever you want.
I was looking into nightcaps. I was going to make one for myself.
Like a long one?
Yeah, to sleep in, I use a hoodie. I have a light, I like hoodies now, just light. I like covering my head.
We have similar hair. If I wear a hat and fall asleep in it, I get a terrible hat pain, scalp pains, right? I get my hair pressed down.
Yeah.
Some of us don't have the pain of lots of hair anymore. I appreciate you sharing that with
luxurious hair. I don't wear a hoodie. I have a pillow that's a heritage, what do you call that? Heirloom pillow. I just keep putting new wrappers around it. It's at least 100 years old, filled with down, weighs about 300 pounds. I plop that on my head. I've used that for 30, 40 years to sleep.
On top of your head or underneath your head?
I seal my whole upper part of my head with this massively heavy pillow that is probably just full of decayed feathers and mites, whatever those creatures are that live in your eyebrows and stuff, right? Dust mites, right? They don't live in your eyebrows; they just live in your pillows, right?
Yeah. Well, in 3-2-1 Contact showed us they showed us what kind of microscope was that, and they would show us what was on our skin.
Yeah,
all the bugs that were on our skin.
Eyelashes, those things in your eyelashes.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think that was our probably great grandmother's bed. It was our feather bed.
Oh,
I think
and
originally.
they turned it into pillows.
Everyone got like pillows. Yeah, it was like there were a bunch of those around. We cleared a house of our old relative in Michigan a few years ago, and he had one of those pillows, and it was that's the same. That's from the great grandmother's bed, feather bed, but they all had the same cloth. Outer cloth was but they were homemade and
Burlap.
No, it's
Hair.
really nice soft
Hair shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got one still too. There's at least I know two exist.
But I have at least 3 layers of additional kind of like zippered pillow covers. I just, every time the inner pillow starts getting funky, then I just buy a new cover and then stick the pillow. I don't take out the old pillow. I just kind of stick it in. So I've got at least 3 layers deep of pillow covers, zippered pillow. What do they call those? The inside covers.
They're not cases, not pillowcases, but
Do we need to work on your mic, Chris?
No, why?
Oh, it's just I worry that you're hunched over. I'm worried that you're.
I feel good.
Okay, there's not a scoliosis issue going on.
No.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about how I can't be that particular about pillows because I sleep in a different bed almost. I sleep in a different bed often.
You're a traveling man.
I'm a traveling man.
where you hang your hat is your home, right?
Yeah.
Why must you be a man in a suitcase? Why must you be a man with the stranger's face?
I actually have been watching, and speaking of what I've been watching, I've been watching Rick Beato's interviews with the police. I've gotten through the Sting and the Stuart Copeland interviews, and I'm now mounting the hour and 47-minute Andy Summers interview.
Little interview with Old Man Summers.
Right, because, I've said this before, probably on this podcast, but he's the age of a Rolling Stone.
Yeah, totally.
Not the age of a police person.
What did he sold Eric Clapton his Les Paul,
Yeah,
right?
his Les
and
Paul.
Was the first guitarist Jimi Hendrix met when he showed up in London.
Yeah, he gave him an acoustic that Jimmy never gave back. Then he went to California and was like hanging with the Laurel Canyon crowd.
Yeah,
so he was a part
amazing.
of that generation. So he went from like the oldest rock generation to the next oldest rock generation to then being a part of the 80s new wave generation, which was at least 10 years younger. I think Sting and Stewart are 10 years younger than him. But he's a great player. Talked about how he learned to play. He was naming all these like Wes Barkley or what, all these like guitarists that I didn't know, these jazz guitarists.
Yeah.
And pretty fascinating. I've got about an hour and a half left to go on that.
Yeah, and you realize, he's a real guitar player when he did those records with Robert Fripp, right? Like like one of the few duets. I mean, obviously Robert Fripp played with like Adrian Blue and stuff, right? But in King Crimson, but this, with the two of them playing together, it's like, okay, this is a real. Andy Summers is real. If Robert Fripp is willing to play with him.
Right, because as a kid, you think, the guitarist for the Police doesn't do much. He just kind of
Exactly.
brings wah, zoo,
Yeah.
and he's got that rhythm section that's doing so much that he can't do much. But that's the brilliance of a guitarist. He knows when not. It's the notes you don't play. I don't know if you guys have heard that
It's the
before.
spaces in between.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I listened to the whole Police catalog. Did I say that last episode?
No.
No, yeah, I listened to the whole catalog just recently.
How was it? Is it good?
It's great. It's really upsetting. I get really upset when I listen to something like that. Like if I listen to the first 3 Wire records, I listen to all those Police records. It's just kind of like, okay, well, I'm a loser. These guys cranked out amazing record after amazing record after amazing record. Oh, the other thing I realized, Synchronicity, I don't like as much.
It's not very good.
It's not very good, yeah. And then I was listening to XTC also and listening to Black Sea and English Settlement, and I know they toured together, XTC and the Police. I definitely hear a crossover. Like I hear, in Synchronicity, I feel like I hear some of the weird Andy Partridge kind of weird chord stuff going on. And I know it's Sting's jazz thing, but it's also weird kind of cross-pollination that I'd never heard before between the Police and XTC. And obviously they had the same producer and record. Well, no, they recorded at different places, but Hugh Padgham recorded both bands.
Yeah, Hugh Padgham did Ghost in the Machine and Synchronicity. That was covered on the Stuart Copeland interview. Pretty fascinating. He said that a lot of people don't think those records sound as good as the first 3.
Yeah, and who did those?
I forget. Some guy who got in a bad way. I think drugs got the best of him or something. It sounded like something got the best of him, of his health. And so they went to Hugh Padgham. And Padgham made it a slicker, different sound than the original records.
Made them millions of dollars.
Probably billions when they sell their catalog.
Oh, that's true.
I watched Thanksgiving, the Eli Roth horror movie about Thanksgiving. It was originally started out as a trailer in the Quentin Tarantino Grindhouse.
So it took 20 years to...
He made it, yeah. Eli Roth, so I've been listening to a lot of Eli Roth on that podcast with Tarantino and Roger Avery, the Video Archives, I think, something, I forget what it was called. Eli Roth is like the Peter Bogdanovich of horror. He knows all the horror films. He's seen them all. He's got all these incredible like references, but he has yet to make like a Bogdanovich caliber film. Like Bogdanovich took he was a huge historian of film. In fact, I thought he was just a film historian until I started like realizing what movies he had done that I had seen and watching some of his movies. And you can see that all of that study ended up on the screen in these great films. But Eli Roth, no offense, Eli, but I'd love to see all of your tutelage or all of your studiousness around horror end up in a phenomenal horror film.
And I think that's being unfair to Eli Roth because, Chris, everyone knows that horror is genre trash. I mean, there's no way to make a good movie. I mean, he's kind of hobbling himself.
That's not true. It's not true. I mean, I think it is a hard genre to make a good film in, but I think you can make a good film in that genre. I think he gives in too much to some of the funner aspects of horror film as opposed to like a Suspiria, the original Suspiria. Clearly, he's a student of the genre, as Rick would put it, and could do a phenomenal, like if he put sort of his academic study to a script, he'd come up with something fantastic. But Thanksgiving was fun. Nothing wrong with it. I just was hoping to see an opus from Mr. Roth.
Does anyone get murdered with a turkey?
Someone gets cooked like a turkey and then served like a turkey.
Like a turkey.
Someone gets his hand chopped off with a cleaver and then sorry, that was a different film I was watching last night. Sorry.
That was what? Murder Christmas?
Crank. I watched the first Crank film last night to catch up on things. Anyway, Rick, what have you been watching?
I watched The Wizard of Oz, which I'm realizing I don't think I've watched in a very, very long time.
Any good?
Frickin' amazing. I was astounded by how tight the plot was. Like everybody talks about, I don't know what movies have as having a perfect plot. This movie, it just goes from one thing to the other. It's just like bam, 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 bam. You know, the old lady's going to steal my dog. I'm running away from home. I meet a crazy charlatan. Then there's a tornado. I hit my head. My house goes flying in the air, and then the house crashes on a witch, and then I meet all these people, and I meet a good witch, and then I start going on this journey, and I meet the scarecrow, and then I meet this tin man, and then I meet, it just keeps going. It's amazing.
And then I meet Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Now I have to watch The Wiz again to see what's wrong, and I think maybe, I enjoyed The Wiz, though. Jim and I saw The Wiz when it came out. We might have been the only people who saw The Wiz in the theater because I think it was notorious for being a massive flop.
Was it really? The Wiz was?
Yes.
I love The Wiz.
Oh, yeah. No, The Wiz is great. Who directed it?
Quincy Jones did all the music, right?
Yeah.
What's his face?
Sidney Lumet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I listened to Sidney Lumet's autobiography, and he's talking about The Wiz and how it is dark and grimy looking. He can't quite get that huge, but that was the whole point, right? It's supposed to be that New York City is Kansas, and then
an urban version. Urban, that's sort of coded. An urban,
exactly. Yeah,
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, so I need to watch that again to see how well it rockets through the plot. Also, but I have I don't remember. Well, no, I didn't remember The Wizard of Oz though either as being particularly taut narrative. But it was like, wow, that was the one thing I took away from it was like, wow, this is how you make a hour-and-a-half film.
Is that all The Wizard of Oz is? 90 minutes?
I think so. It's got to be, right? It's
from
1939. Maybe
I watched it with commercials, so I don't think I've ever watched it without commercials.
Yeah, I watched it straight through. Kind of. I fell asleep and then had to wake up and watch some more. But it was not because it was boring. It was because I was tired.
It's a kid's movie, so they had to, it's got to be, it's got to move.
It's not, though. It's like
it scared the shit out of me.
It's super scary. There's like the fact that it starts out with the evil school marm, right?
Taking her dog? I mean,
And
that would
saying
break
she's going
my
to put him
heart.
to sleep. She's going to
Yeah.
have the mayor or whatever, or I can't remember, the police. Taking this dog away and we're going to put it to sleep. It's super intense. Similar to what my complaint about kind of Star Wars, where it's like, yeah, Darth Vader, that first movie is, he's terrifying and, strangling people and everything. And then things get softer and softer, right, in those other movies. But there is just that pure evil. And I guess it's all, because everyone's an abstraction, I guess.
So you liked the Star Wars prequels where he started out nice and then got meaner and meaner as the films went on.
I didn't like that. Yeah, I love Darth Vader. You see him right away, and he's evil, and he strangles someone almost immediately, right out of the gate. He looks evil. He sounds evil. He kills someone. It's just pure evil. And the witch is like that in Wizard of Oz, right? It's just pure evil.
I love the representation of Darth Vader in Rogue One where he comes in and just tears everybody to shreds and rips everybody with his lightsaber.
I blocked that out of my mind because I'm so angry about that movie. Like the action sequence is basically, we're going to upload some files. That's the exciting moment.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about your upload issue.
Is the network down? Ooh, let's get the network running so we can upload the files. It's like, wow, that's really engaging, especially in a visual medium. Let's go find the hard drive in the archives, right? Aren't they doing that? They're like looking around for a hard drive.
After you pointed that out, you kind of ruined that movie for me.
Kansas City. Food-wise, once only known as a barbecue town. But thanks to the Taco the Town podcast, everything has changed. Kansas City has rightfully taken its place as a taco paradise smack dab in the middle of the USA. And all of these tacos belong to us on the Taco the Town podcast. My name is W. David Keith, certified tacoholic, and I live a very taco-centric lifestyle. On the Taco the Town podcast, we're tasting every taco in the town. We shine a light on all of the taco-rific tacos Kansas City has to offer, unearthing great taco memories, checking the latest stories in taco news, and interviewing actors, reporters, chefs, politicians, and musicians about their love for tacos. If you love tacos like I do, you're gonna love Taco the Town. Available wherever you get your taco podcasts. A proud member of the Lotus Pod Podcasting Network.
Lost and found and rewound.
So in our regular segment, Color Me Impressed, I just wanted to mention that I bowled my second 600 series recently and bowled a 243. That's my highest game ever.
I think I saw a video, right? Was that on the internet?
I put that on Facebook there. So I just want to offer this challenge that we'll take on any 3-person podcast in a game of bowling.
And you're the ringer? I can break 100.
I think we're all the ringer, right?
Yeah.
You're a good bowler, right, Jim? You're good at everything.
Sure. Of course.
And you used to bowl, Rick.
I did, but I was never great.
I'm no Larry, our friend Larry.
Larry's not as good as me anymore.
Really?
I think I'm better than Larry.
Holy
He's just a friend of ours he just seems to be good at those bar sports. He was right, I don't know about darts.
Darts,
but
he's really good
is
at
he good at
darts.
darts?
Yeah,
Of course.
Pinball.
But definitely pool. He talks about being taken in by the hustlers at U of I in Champaign when he was a wee little freshman or something. He just started hanging out in the pool hall at the Union, the student union,
at the pool.
and got really good at pool.
He is good at pool and darts and pinball and bowling.
If you said bar sports, but you had William F. Buckley's accent, you would have sounded like a truly awful elitist. He's good at the bar sports. We're not talking about polo. We're talking about bowling, darts.
Oh, I had an announcement. We're going to release a 5-song EP at the end of this season. One song will be our theme song, which we all wrote together. Another song will be the song we play at the end of the show. And then each of us are going to write a song that the other two are going to play on, kind of like those Kiss albums that came out in the 70s.
See, now I wish I could pull out of my head who co-wrote some of those songs with the members of Kiss, right? They're like some co-writers, right? Some like big time songwriters.
Barry Manilow,
And did Barry Manilow
Neil
write-
Diamond.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah.
Yeah, those guys wrote a lot of songs.
You think I could get Neil Diamond to help me write a song?
They're both still around.
Yeah.
They're both still available. No, that's not how it works. We're each going to write a song, and then the other two are going to record on it, and Rick's going to engineer it. Since I'm the one that edits the podcast, I'm going to dump that responsibility on Rick. But he gets to pick what technology we get to record it in. And what microphone stands we use.
I do have a 4-track. I have a 16-track.
Can we record it to like a wire recorder?
I have a reel of wire for a wire recorder. I don't think I have a wire recorder.
Anyway, I'll let you think that through. You don't
Yeah.
have to give us an answer now.
Yeah, I'll begin the anxiety and panic.
So that'll be coming out, and we'll put it out on 180-gram vinyl. We'll put it on a rainbow vinyl to match our logo.
because, of course, color vinyl sounds great.
Oh yeah. Well, we won't put it out on rainbow. We'll figure it out. We'll have a rainbow something or other in there.
Half-speed mastered.
Yeah, whatever you're saying. Yeah. Wait, that would make it
Don't
sound
you
better,
remember
right?
that? Yeah, don't you remember that? That was
For
always,
higher quality.
Yeah, that was half-speed mastered.
Yeah. I apologize. I'm just blowing through segments here because we got to get to the movie. I apologize for picking the movie that we're about to watch.
So this is real.
It's real.
See, I thought you...
I watched Crank last night and I realized, uh-oh. So I picked Crank High Voltage as the film we're going to watch today. I did it because, there's a lot of talk about Rick's other podcast. On Rick's other podcast, he said that he had never seen a Jason Statham film before. And I thought, well, what's the best? There's a lot of like really good but not great Jason Statham films because I love Jason Statham. I've seen almost all of his films. The one that stuck out in my mind was, the second Crank movie is just undeniably great. And then I watched the first Crank movie and realized I hadn't seen the second Crank movie since it came out. And there's a lot of inappropriate language and activity in my choice this week. I wish they could have made these films without that stuff. I don't condone these films, but they are important documents in U.S. film history. And that's why I'm standing by it.
U.S. film history, even though it's an English stuntman who's the main actor.
Right, but Neville, Dean, and Taylor are U.S. filmmakers. And
Okay.
He's the. There's certainly a lot of. Star Wars has a lot of British actors in it. It's considered an American film.
That was one of my problems with Dune. I don't like all these Americans. And even the British actors were speaking American. I don't like it.
I haven't seen Dune 2 yet. I got to watch
Yeah.
the first Dune and then watch the second Dune.
You're going to have a dress-up movie like that. You got to have...
People who sound smart in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing makes you sound smart like a British accent.
Yeah.
Just like Jason Statham in this movie, but
Exactly.
he actually says some homophobic things in the first film that I forgot about. That he is a bad guy, but we could have done without that language. And then there's a lot of misogyny in these movies. And then I started watching interviews. Well, we'll talk about it after the film. Anyway, so the film is the 2009 mildly successful film Crank High Voltage. It's the sequel to the 2006 film Crank. It's rated R for, and this was listed, graphic sexual content, crude sexual content, nudity, pervasive language, and strong bloody violence. So we're in for a treat. Now, and I'm the first guy who hasn't picked a film this season with a sex scene in it, so I guess I'm joining the crew here by picking this film.
I had a note to myself about something about the previous film.
Have you seen it?
No, not Crank 1. I mean, the previous film that we talked about, To Kill a Clown. Just to completely ignore your choice for today.
Yeah, I know. This is going to be a real rough ride for Rick. If anything, folks, it's going to be an entertaining episode.
We didn't talk about the freeze frames in To Kill a Clown.
A great idea that was poorly executed. Because I think what it was supposed to be was a series of pictures that they took on their vacation.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Because at
that
the
makes
end of the
sense.
film, they're just looking through snapshots from the film. And what I would have liked to have seen it be is snapshots that ended each scene as like some voyeur was taking pictures of this whole thing as it unfolded.
So similar to the Anderson tapes. You ever seen the Anderson tapes
No.
with Sean Connery? Ooh, I won't say any more.
All right, don't say anymore.
Christopher Walken's debut performance in a film.
Really?
Yeah, Anderson tapes, Sean Connery. We should watch that. Let's watch that instead.
No, we're watching Crank
Crank
High
2.
Voltage. We're good. It's going to be an entertaining episode.
just the freeze frames, it reminded me of the transitions in Easy Rider, choppy back and forth instead of doing the crossfade between scenes, right? Going ja 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 ja, the weird psychedelic cuts. I think it was
Yeah.
and that made me think of Persona. So I watched Persona again recently. Have you guys seen that?
No.
Okay, yeah. We won't talk. I'll talk about it with some sophisticates, some people who appreciate art films. I'll call up Woody and Martin, Woody and Francis, and we'll talk about it.
Francis doesn't want to talk about film anymore. So in short, I'm glad we aren't watching Crank High Voltage in Western Springs near Rick and Jim's mom. I'm glad we've done this here in Bloomington. But I did realize that Jason Statham is the high-octane action equivalent of Liam Neeson. So you're such a fan of Liam Neeson.
I am.
I would challenge you to think about this film in terms of Liam Neeson for the new metal age.
Rick, just imagine you're watching Liam Neeson. I can't say his name anymore. Liam Neeson.
For our listeners, you can get both these films on Tubi for free. So at least we're doing you that service. So we will talk to you next week. Listen, we're not going to talk to anybody next week. We'll talk to each other in a few minutes, and you can listen to it next
So
week.
confused. The timeline. It's supposed to get simpler, Chris.
It's not simpler. It's a lot harder now. At least it's linear. Lost and Found and Rewound is fully funded by Lost and Found and Rewound Foundation funds. Lost and Found and Rewound does not use crowdfunding because our listeners have better things to do with their funding. There's no need to post reviews of Lost and Found and Rewound because our listeners have more valuable things to do with their time. In all sincerity, thank you for listening to the show. We truly appreciate it.
Lotus Pod.